Whisper Library. We believe in books.
Most people think the hardest part of money is earning it, but earning money is often easier than knowing what to do with it. Because money doesn't just buy products, it buys comfort, status, freedom, attention, experiences, and emotion. And that's where things become complicated. Two people can earn the same amount, yet one builds a meaningful life, while the other stays trapped in stress, comparison, and endless spending. Not because of income, but because of decisions. We live in a world designed to make us spend emotionally. Faster upgrades, constant comparison, the pressure to look successful, even when we don't feel successful. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, people forget a simple truth. Money is only valuable when it improves the quality of your life, not your image, not your ego, your life. You're listening to Whisper Library. In The Art of Spending Money, Morgan Housel explores the psychology behind spending, why people buy what they buy, why more money doesn't always create more happiness, and how thoughtful spending can lead to a richer life in every sense of the word. Because financial wisdom is not just about making money, it's about learning how to use it well. So take a moment, clear your mind, and let's begin. Chapter 1. Money is more than math. Most people treat money like a numbers game. Income, savings, investments, expenses, all calculations. But Morgan Housel argues that money is rarely driven by logic alone. It is driven by emotions, habits, experiences, and personal beliefs. Two people can receive the exact same paycheck and make completely different financial decisions. One spends for comfort, another spends for status. One saves out of discipline, another saves out of fear. The numbers may look similar, but the psychology behind them is entirely different. That's why financial decisions cannot be understood through spreadsheets alone. People don't just spend money to survive. They spend it to feel secure, respected, successful, or happy. Housel explains that our relationship with money is shaped long before we start earning it. Family background, childhood experiences, culture, and environment all influence how we think about spending. This is why financial advice often fails. What works for one person may feel impossible for another, because money is personal. True financial wisdom begins with self-awareness, not just asking, how much do I have, but asking, why do I use money the way I do? Because once you understand the emotional side of money, you stop making unconscious decisions and start spending with intention. Chapter 2. Spending to impress. One of the most expensive habits in modern life is spending money to impress other people. Morgan Housel explains that much of what people buy has little to do with necessity. It is often tied to image, comparison, and social validation. Luxury cars, designer brands, expensive lifestyles, many purchases are not made for personal satisfaction, but to signal success to others. The problem is that this pursuit never ends. There will always be someone with more, someone newer, someone richer, someone louder. And when spending becomes tied to comparison, contentment becomes impossible. Housel points out an uncomfortable truth. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to spend much time judging your possessions. The attention we seek through spending is usually far smaller than we imagine. Real wealth often looks quiet. It is not always visible in expensive lifestyles or public displays. Sometimes the wealthiest people are the ones who live below their means, avoid unnecessary attention, and value freedom over appearance. Spending to impress creates pressure. Thoughtful spending creates peace. Housel's message is simple. Buy things because they improve your life, not because they improve your image. Because the goal of money is not to make strangers admire you for a moment. It is to create a life you genuinely enjoy living. Chapter 3. The Price of Convenience. Modern life is built around convenience. Food arrives in minutes, shopping takes seconds, entertainment is endless and immediate. And while convenience saves time, Morgan Housel argues that it often encourages unconscious spending. Small purchases feel harmless because they are easy. A subscription here, a quick order there, an impulse purchase made in seconds. Individually, they seem insignificant, but over time they quietly shape financial behavior. Convenience removes friction, and friction is often what protects discipline. When buying something requires effort, people think more carefully. But when spending becomes effortless, decisions become emotional and automatic. Housel explains that the danger is not occasional spending. The danger is losing awareness of where money is going. Convenience can also create dependency. People begin paying to avoid discomfort, delay, or patience. And slowly, convenience stops feeling like a luxury and starts feeling like a necessity. The solution is not to reject modern life, it is to remain intentional. Ask yourself, does this purchase truly improve my life? Or am I simply reacting to ease and impulse? Because money is often lost quietly, not through one large mistake, but through thousands of small, unconscious decisions. And the ability to pause before spending is sometimes more valuable than the ability to earn more. Chapter 4. Freedom is the highest luxury. People often associate wealth with possessions, bigger homes, expensive cars, luxury experiences. But Morgan Housel argues that the greatest benefit of money is something far less visible: freedom. The ability to control your time, to make decisions without desperation, to walk away from situations that damage your peace. That is real wealth. Many people earn more money only to trap themselves in larger obligations, higher expenses, constant pressure, and lifestyles that require endless income to maintain. From the outside, it may look successful, but internally, there is very little freedom. Housel explains that money becomes powerful when it gives you options: the option to rest, the option to say no, the option to choose work you value instead of work driven entirely by survival. This is why financial independence matters more than appearance. A quiet life with control over your time often brings more happiness than a luxurious life filled with stress. Freedom also creates emotional stability. When you are not constantly worried about money, you think more clearly, act more patiently, and make better long-term decisions. Housel's message is simple: the best use of money is not to impress others. It is to create space, flexibility, and peace in your own life. Because in the end, the highest luxury is not what you own. It's the ability to live life on your own terms. Chapter 5. Enough is a superpower. One of the most dangerous financial habits is believing that more will always make you happier. More money, more possessions, more status, more success. Morgan Housel explains that without the ability to say enough, people enter a cycle that never ends. No achievement feels satisfying for long. Every milestone quickly becomes normal, and the desire for more returns again. This constant chasing creates comparison, pressure, and exhaustion, because there will always be someone richer, faster, or more successful. Housel argues that understanding what is enough is one of the most powerful financial skills a person can develop. It creates boundaries, it protects peace of mind, and it prevents ambition from turning into endless dissatisfaction. Having enough does not mean giving up growth or success. It means recognizing the point where additional consumption stops improving the quality of your life. Many people destroy happiness trying to reach a level they never truly needed. The ability to pause and appreciate what you already have creates emotional freedom. Housel's message is simple but rare. Wealth is not measured only by accumulation. It is also measured by contentment. Because the person who knows what is enough cannot easily be manipulated by comparison, status, or endless desire. And in a world constantly telling you to want more, being satisfied with enough becomes a quiet form of power. Chapter 6. Spending on experiences. Not all spending creates the same kind of happiness. Morgan Housel explains that experiences often provide deeper and longer-lasting satisfaction than possessions. Objects lose their emotional impact over time. What once felt exciting slowly becomes ordinary. This is called adaptation. People quickly get used to new things: a bigger house, a newer phone, a luxury purchase. The excitement fades, and attention moves to the next upgrade. Experiences work differently. Travel, meaningful conversations, family moments, learning something new, these become memories. And memories tend to grow in value over time, not lose it. Experiences also strengthen relationships. Shared moments create emotional connection, while possessions are often enjoyed alone. Housel is not saying material things are meaningless. Some purchases genuinely improve comfort and quality of life. But many people overestimate how much happiness possessions can provide. The real value of money lies in how it shapes your life experience. A meaningful dinner with people you care about may create more lasting happiness than an expensive object quickly forgotten. Thoughtful spending is not about spending less on everything. It is about spending more intentionally on what creates lasting value. Housel's message is clear. Money is most powerful when it creates memories, connection, and meaning, not just ownership. Chapter 7. The danger of lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending often increases with it. A better salary leads to a bigger home, more subscriptions, expensive habits, and higher expectations. Morgan Housel calls this lifestyle inflation. The tendency to raise your standard of living every time you earn more money. At first, these upgrades feel rewarding. You tell yourself you've earned them, and sometimes, that's true. But the danger appears quietly. The more your lifestyle expands, the more income you need just to maintain it. What once felt like freedom slowly becomes obligation. People begin earning more than ever before, yet still feel financially trapped. Not because they lack money, but because their expenses rise as fast as their income. Housel explains that wealth is not determined only by earnings. It is determined by the gap between what you earn and what you need to spend. That gap creates flexibility, savings, and long-term security. Lifestyle inflation reduces that gap until success becomes difficult to sustain. The solution is not to avoid enjoying your money. It is to increase your lifestyle carefully and consciously. Spend on what genuinely improves your life, not on habits created by comparison or pressure. Because earning more money means very little if every increase in income simply creates a new level of dependency. Chapter 8. The emotional cost of debt. Debt is not only a financial burden, it is often an emotional one. Morgan Housel explains that owing money changes the way people think, feel, and make decisions. It creates pressure, reduces flexibility, and quietly limits freedom. Not all debt is harmful. Some forms can be useful when managed responsibly. But unnecessary debt, especially debt created by impulse spending, often comes from prioritizing short-term desire over long-term stability. At first, debt can feel invisible. A small payment here, another there. But over time, those obligations accumulate. And eventually, income is no longer used to build the future. It is used to pay for the past. That creates stress. People under constant financial pressure often lose the ability to think patiently and clearly. Decisions become reactive instead of intentional. Housel emphasizes that peace of mind is one of the greatest financial assets a person can have. And excessive debt quietly destroys that peace. The goal is not perfection, it is control. When you reduce unnecessary obligations, you create breathing room. You gain flexibility, confidence, and emotional stability. Housel's message is direct. Money should reduce stress, not multiply it. Because true financial strength is not measured by how much you can borrow, but by how little you need to depend on it. Chapter 9. The quiet power of patience. Modern culture rewards speed. Fast success, fast profits, instant results. But Morgan Housel explains that wealth is usually built slowly, through patience, consistency, and time. Most financial success does not come from dramatic moments. It comes from repeated good decisions made over many years, saving regularly, avoiding unnecessary debt, investing consistently, spending thoughtfully. These actions may appear small in the short term, but over time, they compound into significant results. The challenge is that patience often feels unrewarding at first. People want visible progress immediately, and when results take time, many abandon the process too early. Housel argues that patience is difficult because it requires trust in outcomes you cannot yet see. But time is one of the most powerful forces in finance. When combined with discipline, small actions become large advantages. Patience also protects against emotional decisions. People who constantly react to fear, trends, or short-term pressure often damage their long-term stability. The patient person thinks differently. They focus less on quick rewards and more on sustainable progress. Housel's message is simple. Financial success is rarely about intensity. It is about consistency maintained over time. Because the greatest advantage in money often belongs not to the smartest person in the room, but to the one who stayed disciplined the longest. Chapter 10. Money should support your life, not control. Many people spend their lives chasing money without ever asking what they actually want money to do for them. Morgan Housel explains that money is a tool, not an identity, not a scoreboard, and not the purpose of life itself. When money becomes the center of everything, people often sacrifice health, relationships, time, and peace in pursuit of more. But wealth without balance can quietly become another form of stress. Housel argues that the true purpose of money is to support a meaningful life, to reduce unnecessary pressure, to create options, to give you more control over how you spend your time and energy. This is why financial decisions should always connect back to values. Not every opportunity is worth chasing. Not every upgrade improves your life. Sometimes, protecting your peace is more valuable than increasing your income. Money works best when it stays in its proper place, as a tool that serves your priorities, not a force that controls them. Housel's message is simple. Financial success means very little if you lose the ability to enjoy your life while pursuing it. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to become obsessed with money, but to build a life where money quietly supports what matters most. In the end, the art of spending money is not really about spending. It is about understanding value. Morgan Housel reminds us that money is deeply emotional. People do not spend only for survival. They spend for comfort, identity, security, freedom, and meaning. And because of that, financial decisions are rarely just financial decisions. The real challenge is not earning more. It is learning how to use money in a way that genuinely improves life. Thoughtful spending creates freedom. Impulsive spending creates pressure. Comparison creates dissatisfaction. Contentment creates peace. Throughout this book, one idea becomes clear. Money works best when it serves your values, not your ego. True wealth is not always visible. Sometimes it looks like flexibility, calmness, time, and control over your life. Sometimes it looks like being able to say, enough. Housel's message is not about perfection. It is about awareness. Understanding why you spend, what truly adds value to your life, and what quietly takes it away. Because financial wisdom is not measured only by what you earn, but by the quality of the life your money helps create. And that was The Art of Spending Money, a reflection on money, behavior, and the choices that shape our lives. If this changed the way you think about spending, remember, the smartest financial decision is not always the one that looks impressive, but the one that brings lasting peace. You're listening to Whisper Library. Until next time. Spend wisely and live intentionally.